The renminbi is the official currency of the People's Republic of China. The name literally means people's currency. The yuan is the basic unit of the renminbi, but is also used to refer to the Chinese currency generally, especially in international contexts. The distinction between the terms renminbi and yuan is similar to that between sterling and pound, which respectively refer to the British currency in its primary unit. 1 yuan is subdivided into 10 jiao, and a jiao in turn is subdivided into 10 fen. The ISO code for renminbi is CNY, or also CNH when traded in offshore markets such as Hong Kong. The currency is often abbreviated RMB, or indicated by the yuan sign. The latter may be written CN to distinguish it from other currencies with the same symbol. In Chinese text, the currency may also be indicated with the Chinese character for the yuan. The renminbi is legal tender in mainland China, but not in Hong Kong and Macau. Renminbi is sometimes accepted in Hong Kong and Macau, and are easily exchanged in the two territories, with banks in Hong Kong allowing people to maintain accounts in RMB. The currency is issued by the People's Bank of China, the monetary authority of China. Until 2005, the value of the renminbi was pegged to the US dollar. As China pursued its historical transition from central planning to a market economy, and increased its participation in foreign trade, the renminbi was devalued to increase the competitiveness of Chinese industry. It has previously been claimed that the renminbi's official exchange rate was undervalued by as much as 37.5% against its purchasing power parity. More recently, however, appreciation actions by the Chinese government, as well as quantitative easing measures taken by the Federal Reserve and other major central banks, have caused the renminbi to be within as little as 8% of its equilibrium value by the second half of 2012. Since 2006, the renminbi exchange rate has been allowed to float in a narrow margin around a fixed base rate determined with reference to a basket of world currencies. The Chinese government has announced that it will gradually increase the flexibility of the exchange rate. As a result of the rapid internationalization of the renminbi, it became the world's 8th most traded currency in 2013, and 5th in 2015. The yuan will be included in the basket of currencies used by the IMF in 2016. History. A variety of currencies circulated in China during the Republic of China era, most of which were denominated in the unit yuan. Each was distinguished by a currency name, such as the Fabi, the gold yuan, and the silver yuan. As the Communist Party of China took control of ever larger territories in the latter part of the Chinese Civil War, its People's Bank of China began in 1948 to issue a unified currency for use in communist-controlled territories. Also denominated in yuan, this currency was identified by different names, including People's Bank of China banknotes, new currency, People's Bank of China notes, People's notes, and finally, People's Currency, or renminbi, from June 1949. Convertibility. During the era of the command economy, the value of the renminbi was set to unrealistic values in exchange with Western currency, and severe currency exchange rules were put in place. With the opening of the mainland Chinese economy in 1978, a dual-track currency system was instituted, with renminbi usable only domestically, and with foreigners forced to use foreign exchange certificates. The unrealistic levels at which exchange rates were pegged led to a strong black market in currency transactions. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, China worked to make the RMB more convertible. Through the use of swap centers, the exchange rate was brought to realistic levels and the dual-track currency system was abolished. As of 2013, the renminbi is convertible on current accounts but not capital accounts. The ultimate goal has been to make the RMB fully convertible. However, partly in response to the Asian financial crisis in 1998, China has been concerned that the mainland Chinese financial system would not be able to handle the potential rapid cross-border movements of hot money, and as a result, as of 2012, the currency trades within a narrow band specified by the Chinese central government. Era of the planned economy. From 1949 until the late 1970s, the state fixed China's exchange rate at a highly overvalued level as part of the country's import substitution strategy. During this time frame, the focus of the state's central planning was to accelerate industrial development and reduce China's dependence on imported manufactured goods. The overvaluation allowed the government to provide imported machinery and equipment to priority industries at a relatively lower domestic currency cost than otherwise would have been possible. Transition to an equilibrium exchange rate. China's transition by the mid-1990s to a system in which the value of its currency was determined by supply and demand in a foreign exchange market was a gradual process spanning 15 years that involved changes in the official exchange rate, the use of a dual exchange rate system, and the introduction and gradual expansion of markets for foreign exchange. The most important move to a market-oriented exchange rate was an easing of controls on trade and other current account transactions, as occurred in several very early steps. In 1979, the State Council approved a system allowing exporters and the provincial and local government owners to retain a share of the foreign exchange earnings, referred to as foreign exchange quotas. At the same time, the government introduced measures to allow retention of part of the foreign exchange earnings from non-trade sources, such as overseas remittances, port fees paid by foreign vessels, and tourism. As early as October 1980, exporting firms that retained foreign exchange above their own import needs were allowed to sell the excess through the state agency responsible for the management of China's exchange controls and its foreign exchange reserves, the State Administration of Exchange Control. Beginning in the mid-1980s, the government sanctioned foreign exchange markets, known as swap centers, eventually in most large cities. The government also gradually allowed market force to take the dominant role by introducing an internal settlement rate of RMB 2.8 to the dollar, which was a devaluation of almost 100%. In November 1993, the third plenum of the 14th CPC Central Committee approved a comprehensive reform strategy in which foreign exchange management reforms were highlighted as a key element for a market-oriented economy. A floating exchange rate regime and convertibility for RMB were seen as the ultimate goal of the reform. Conditional convertibility under current account was achieved by allowing firms to surrender the foreign exchange earning from current account transactions and purchase foreign exchange as needed. Restrictions on foreign direct investment was also loosened and capital inflows to China surged. Production and minting. Renminbi currency production is carried out by a state-owned corporation, China Banknote Printing and Minting Corporation, headquartered in Beijing. CBPMC uses several printing, engraving and minting facilities around the country to produce banknotes and coins for subsequent distribution. Banknote printing facilities are based in Beijing, Shanghai, Chengdu, Xi'an, Shijiazhuang, and Nanchang. Mints are located in Nanjing, Shanghai, and Shenyang. Also, high-grade paper for the banknotes is produced at two facilities in Beijing and Kunshan. The Beijing facility is the largest facility in the world dedicated to developing banknote material according to its website. In addition, the People's Bank of China has its own printing technology research division that researches new techniques for creating banknotes and making counterfeiting more difficult. Current status. As of 2016, Renminbi banknotes are available in denominations from 10 sen, 20 sen, 50 sen, 1 yen, 2 yen, 5 yen, 10 yen, 20 yen, 50 yen, and 100 yen yuan. These denominations have been available since 1955, except for the 50 and 100 yuan notes and 20 yuan notes. Coins are available in denominations from 1 fen to 1 yuan. Thus, some denominations exist in both coins and banknotes. On rare occasions, larger yuan coin denominations such as 5 yen have been issued to commemorate events, but use of these outside of collecting has never been widespread. The denomination of each banknote is printed in Chinese. The numbers themselves are printed in financial Chinese numeral characters, as well as Arabic numerals. The denomination and the words People's Bank of China are also printed in Mongolian, Tibetan, Uyghur and Zhuang on the back of each banknote. In addition to the boldface Ani Pinyin, Zhongguo Renmin Yin Hang, the right front of the note has a tactile representation of the denomination in Chinese Braille starting from the 4th series. See corresponding section for detailed information. The fen and jiao denominations have become increasingly unnecessary as prices have increased. Coins under 10 sen are used infrequently. Chinese retailers tend to avoid decimal values, opting instead for integer values of yuan. On November 30, 2015, the IMF voted to designate the renminbi as one of several main world currencies, thus including it in the basket of special drawing rights. The other main world currencies of the US dollar, euro, British pound, and Japanese yen. Issuance history. The currency was introduced by the People's Bank of China in December 1948, about a year before the establishment of the People's Republic of China. It was issued only in paper money form at first, and replaced the various currencies circulating in the areas controlled by the communists. One of the first tasks of the new government was to end the hyperinflation that had plagued China in the final years of the Kuomintang era. That achieved a revaluation occurred in 1955 at the rate of 1 new yuan equals 10,000 old yuan. Coins. In 1953, aluminium 1, 2, and 5 fen coins began being struck for circulation, and were first introduced in 1955. These depict the national emblem on the obverse and the name and denomination framed by wheat stalks on the reverse. In 1980, brass 1, 2, and 5 jiao and copro-nickel 1 yuan coins were added, although the 1 and 2 jiao were only produced until 1981, with the last 5 jiao and 1 yuan issued in 1985. All jiao coins depicted similar designs to the fen coins, while the yuan depicted the Great Wall of China. In 1991, a new coinage was introduced, consisting of an aluminium 1 jiao, brass 5 jiao and nickel-clad steel 1 yuan. These were smaller than the previous jiao and yuan coins and depicted flowers on the obverse and the national emblem on the reverse. Issuance of the aluminum 1 and 2 fen coins ceased in 1991, with that of the 5 fen halting in 1994. The small coins were still made for annual uncirculated mint sets in limited quantities, and from the beginning of 2005 the 1 fen coin got a new lease on life by being issued again every year since then up to present. New designs of the 1 and 5 jiao and 1 yuan were again introduced in between 1999 and 2002, with the 1 jiao being significantly reduced in size. In 2005, the metallic composition of the 1 jiao was changed from aluminum to more durable nickel-plated steel. The frequency of usage of coins varies between different parts of China, with coins typically being more popular in urban areas, and small notes being more popular in rural areas. Older Fen and large jiao coins are uncommonly still seen in circulation but are still valid in exchange. Banknotes. As of 2016, there have been 5 series of Renminbi banknotes issued by the People's Republic of China. The first series of Renminbi banknotes was issued on December 1, 1948, by the newly founded People's Bank of China. It introduced notes in denominations of 1, 5, 10, 20, 50, 100 and 1,000 yuan. Notes for 200, 500, 5,000 and 10,000 yuan followed in 1949, with 50,000 yuan notes added in 1950. A total of 62 different designs were issued. The notes were officially withdrawn on various dates between April 1 and May 10, 1955. The name First Series was given retroactively in 1950, after work began to design a new series. These first Renminbi notes were printed with the words People's Bank of China, Republic of China, and the denomination, written in Chinese characters by Dong Biwu. The second series of Renminbi banknotes was introduced on the 1st of March 1955. Each note has the words People's Bank of China as well as the denomination in the Uyghur, Tibetan, Mongolian and Zhuang languages on the back, which has since appeared in each series of Renminbi notes. The denominations available in banknotes were 1 sen, 2 sen, 5 sen, 10 sen, 20 sen, 50 sen, 1 yen, 2 yen, 3 yen, 5 yen and 10 yen. Except for the 3 fen denominations and the 3 yuan which were withdrawn, notes in these denominations continue to circulate. Good examples of this series have gained high status with banknote collectors. The third series was introduced on April 15, 1962, though many denominations were dated 1960. New dates would be issued as stocks of older dates were gradually depleted. The sizes and design layout of the notes had changed but not the order of colors for each denomination. For the next 2 decades, the second and third series banknotes were used concurrently. The denominations were of 10 sen, 20 sen, 50 sen, 1 yen, 2 yen, 5 yen and 10 yen. The third series was phased out during the 1990s and then was recalled completely on July 1, 2000. The fourth series was introduced between 1987 and 1997, although the banknotes were dated 1980, 1990, or 1996. They are still legal tender. Banknotes are available in denominations of 10 sen, 20 sen, 50 sen, 1 yen, 2 yen, 5 yen, 10 yen, 50 yen and 100 yen. Like previous issues, the color designation for already existing denominations remained in effect. The fifth series of Renminbi banknotes and coins was progressively introduced from 1999. This series also bears the years 2005 and 2015. As of 2016, it includes banknotes for 1 yen, 5 yen, 10 yen, 20 yen, 50 yen and 100 yen. Significantly, the fifth series uses the portrait of Mao Zedong on all banknotes, in place of the various leaders and workers which had been featured previously. During this series, new security features were added, the 2 yen denomination was discontinued, and the color pattern for each note was changed. Commemorative issues of the renminbi. In 1999, a commemorative red 50 yen note was issued in honor of the 50th anniversary of the establishment of the People's Republic of China. This note features Mao Zedong on the front and various animals on the back. An orange polymer note, and sapphire, China's only polymer note, commemorating the new millennium, was issued in 2000 with a face value of 100 yen. This features a dragon on the obverse, and the reverse features the China Millennium Monument. For the 2008 Beijing Olympics, a green 10 yen note was issued featuring the Bird's Nest Stadium on the front, with the back showing a classical Olympic discus thrower and various other athletes. On November 26, 2015, the People's Bank of China issued a blue 100 yen commemorative note to commemorate aerospace science and technology. Suggested future design. On March 13, 2006, some delegates to an advisory body at the National People's Congress proposed to include Sun Yat-sen and Deng Xiaoping on the renminbi banknotes. However, the proposal was not adopted. Use in minority regions. The renminbi yuan has different names when used in minority regions. When used in Inner Mongolia and other Mongol autonomies, a yuan is called a tugreg. However, when used in the Republic of Mongolia, it is still named yuan to differentiate it from Mongolian tugrog. One Chinese tugreg is divided into 100 mongu. One Chinese jiao is labeled 10 mongu. In Mongolian, renminbi is called Aradan Jogos or Aradan Jogos. When used in Tibet and other Tibetan autonomies, a yuan is called a gor. One gor is divided into 10 gorsa, 100 gar. In Tibetan, renminbi is called mimang songu or mimang shog dngul. International use. International trade. Before 2009, the Chinese renminbi had little to no exposure in the international markets because of strict government controls by the central Chinese government that prohibited almost all export of the currency, or use of it in international transactions. Transactions between Chinese companies and a foreign entity were generally denominated in US dollars, with Chinese companies unable to hold US dollars and foreign companies unable to hold Chinese yuan. All transactions would go through the People's Bank of China. Once the sum was paid by the foreign party in dollars, the central bank would pass the settlement in renminbi to the Chinese company at the state-controlled exchange rate. In June 2009, the Chinese officials announced a pilot scheme where business and trade transactions were allowed between limited businesses in Guangdong Province and Shanghai, and only counterparties in Hong Kong, Macau, and select ASEAN nations. Proving a success, the program was further extended to 20 Chinese provinces and counterparties internationally in July 2010, and in September 2011 it was announced that the remaining 11 Chinese provinces would be included in steps intended to establish the renminbi as an international reserve currency. China has agreements with Russia, Vietnam, Sri Lanka, Thailand, and Japan, allowing trade with those countries to be settled directly in renminbi instead of requiring conversion to US dollars, with Australia and South Africa to follow soon. International reserve currency. Currency restrictions regarding renminbi-denominated bank deposits and financial products were greatly liberalized in July 2010. In 2010, renminbi-denominated bonds were reported to have been purchased by Malaysia's central bank, and that McDonald's had issued renminbi-denominated corporate bonds through Standard Chartered Bank of Hong Kong. Such liberalization allows the yuan to look more attractive as it can be held with higher return on investment yields, whereas previously that yield was virtually none. Nevertheless, some national banks such as Bank Bank of Thailand have expressed a serious concern about RMB since BOT cannot substitute the depreciated US dollars in its $200 billion foreign exchange reserves for renminbi as much as it wishes because the Chinese government has not taken full responsibilities and commitments on economic affairs at global levels. Renminbi still has not become well liquidated yet. The Chinese government still lacks deep and wide vision about how to perform fundraising to handle international loans at global levels. To meet IMF requirements, China gave up some of its tight control over the currency. Countries that are left-leaning in the political spectrum had already begun to use the renminbi as an alternative reserve currency to the United States dollar. The Central Bank of Chile reported in 2011 to have $91 million worth of renminbi in reserves, and the president of the Central Bank of Venezuela, Nelson Morantes, made statements in favor of the renminbi following the announcement of reserve withdrawals from Europe and the United States, used as a currency outside mainland China. The two special administrative regions, Hong Kong and Macau, have their own respective currencies, according to the one country, two systems principle and the basic laws of the two territories. Therefore, the Hong Kong dollar and the Macanese pataka remain the legal tenders in the two territories, and renminbi, although sometimes accepted, is not legal tender. Banks in Hong Kong allow people to maintain accounts in RMB. Because of changes in legislation in July 2010, many banks around the world are now slowly offering individuals the chance to hold deposits in Chinese renminbi. The RMB had a presence in Macau even before the 1999 return to the People's Republic of China from Portugal. Banks in Macau can issue credit cards based on the renminbi, but not loans. Renminbi-based credit cards cannot be used in Macau's casinos. The Republic of China, which governs Taiwan, believes wide usage of the renminbi would create an underground economy and undermine its sovereignty. Tourists are allowed to bring in up to 20,000 yuan when visiting Taiwan. These renminbi must be converted to the new Taiwan dollar at trial exchange sites in Matsu and Kinmen. The Chen Shui-bian administration insisted that it would not allow full convertibility until the mainland signs a bilateral foreign exchange settlement agreement. Though President Ma Ying-jeou has pledged to allow full convertibility as soon as possible, the renminbi circulates in some of China's neighbors, such as Pakistan, Mongolia and northern Thailand. Cambodia welcomes the renminbi as an official currency, and Laos and Myanmar allow it in border provinces. Though unofficial, Vietnam recognizes the exchange of the renminbi to the dong. Since 2007, RMB-nominated bonds are issued outside mainland China. These are colloquially called dim sum bonds. In April 2011, the first initial public offering denominated in renminbi occurred in Hong Kong, when the Chinese property investment trust Huijian raised 10.48 billion yen in its IPO. Beijing has allowed renminbi-denominated financial markets to develop in Hong Kong as part of the effort to internationalize the renminbi. Other markets, since currency flows in and out of mainland China are still restricted, RMB traded into offshore markets, such as the Hong Kong market, can have a different value to RMB traded on the mainland. Other RMB markets include the dollar-settled non-deliverable forward and the trade settlement exchange rate.